Hello, and welcome to the FlexMLS webinar, How to Add a New Listing to FlexMLS. In this webinar, I'll show you how to add your listing into FlexMLS to get your list number. So let's begin. So I'm logged into FlexMLS. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on my menu button. Once my menu button opens up, underneath the Add Change section, I'm going to click on Add Listing. And just to mention, we're adding a listing as the listing agent, not the office account, okay? All right, so here I am at the first add listing screen, okay? So here it's sorted out into tabs. Let me just close that. So these are all of the tabs of information that you're going to complete. It'll always bring you to the first tab, which is the general tab, okay? So here you enter in the property type that you're entering in. So it's got the drop down menu with your list there. So I'll leave it as single family. And then this will have your name here already listed. Now, if you're logged in as the office's administrative account and you're adding in a listing for one of the agents within that brokerage, this will also be a drop down menu or a field where you can search for that agent's name and assign that listing to them. Okay, so we're going to leave the property type as single family and listing member here. So next we'll go to the next screen. This is the address tab where you enter in the address information. When you're entering in an address for your listing by MLS rules, you must use the address that is listed as the property address on the tax record, not the mailing address, the property address. So you enter that information here, and you'll see some of the fields are red. So like the street name, street number, county, municipality, those fields are red. Whenever you see a field that's shaded red, that means that that field is required for entry. You cannot generate an MLS number without that information being entered. Anything that's gray is optional information. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter in a listing and type in the street name. All right. If you have a question about the abbreviation that you need to use here, where if it's court or circle or boulevard, you can just use this little icon right here and it will give you those abbreviations. All right. So we'll enter that Maple Lane, no punctuation. There's no additional address. I'm just going to go back down here to county and I will pick a county and a municipality and pop in a zip code. I'm just making something up here. And when you're entering in the zip code, as you see, the +4 is required. So I'm just typing something in there. If you're not sure of what the +4 is or you don't have that information, you could use this link right here. This will route you to the United States Postal Service page where you can enter in the address in the city and the state, and it will generate the zip code with the +4. If that information is not available on USPS.com, I believe you can leave it blank. But just check for sure with our admin department. I'm not quite sure what the rules is on that, if they want you to leave it blank or enter in 4 nines. But if you cannot easily find the zip +4, just give our admin department a call and they'll help you with that. All right. Next, I'll just put in a tax key number here. And then I will click next. Actually, let me change the address to our address here at the office. There we go. Alrighty. And now I'm going to advance to the next tab, which is the main fields tab. Now you can navigate through these screens by using the tabs that are here, or you can use the next and back buttons at the bottom. That will just switch you from tab to tab. All right. All right, so now it takes us to the main fields tab. So this is the information that you'll enter, like the price, the beds, the bath, that kind of thing. So status, we want it as active. Just a note, if you're entering in a delayed listing, you must change the status field from active to delayed just by clicking it like that. Then you enter in your start showing date, the date that you want that listing to go active. If you ever forget how many days you have a maximum of 15 days after the list date. After that, if you need more time, you'll have to temporarily withdraw that listing. All right, so you can schedule that out up to 15 days after the list date. All right, I'm going to switch that back to active. Okay. Next, I'll just put in a list price of $100, very cheap. Postal municipality, I've got an option. It'll pop up the one that's most often used. But if you have a postal municipality, that a mailing address where it's a different municipality, if that postal municipality is applicable to the address and zip code that you're entering in, you will have an option here because, for example, in this case, 53226 services both Wauwatosa and Milwaukee. All right. So if you're entering in an address and a zip code and you think that that information there is not correct, just go back and double check your address. Those addresses are checked against the USPS lists. So it's not like we make those up. All right. So next I'm just going to enter in the fields here. And again, the red fields are required for entry. The gray fields are optional information. So that's information if you want to add that in there, you can. An easy way, or make it a quick way to go through this screen here, you've got a show menu and it's set to all fields. What I can do is I can click that and choose to show the required fields only, whether if they're populated or not with information, or empty required fields only. This will show me fields that I need to complete. So if I click that, that will just show me those fields that are empty that I still need to complete. All right, I'm just going to switch that back to all fields there. So I'm just going to pop in my taxes with my tax year. Acres, just pop that stuff in. So when you enter in your acres, again, check your tax records for that, or your seller may know. And then the information that you're entering in here, it wants to know where did you get that source from. So we've got a drop-down list here of options that you can choose for source. I'm just going to choose other. Zoning, I'm just going to type in RES for res. List date. This must match the term of the contract date from line 311. So make sure the date that you're putting in here matches that date from this line on the contract. All right, so I'm going to enter that in as today's date. Expiration date, again, must match the term of the contract. That's from line 312. All right, so I'm going to enter in tomorrow's date since we're not going to use this listing for that long. Okay, next section is the listing information, the commissions that's being offered on the property. So you want to enter that in. So I'm just going to enter some stuff in here, and that can either be a dollar amount or a percentage. All right. Is it broker owned? Any named prospects? Electronic consent. That means that your seller has agreed for you to contact them electronically with documents. Exclusive agency contract. If you want the listing excluded from the MLS, you can pop that as a yes, but that's typically set as no. Variable commission if it's limited unserviced. Moving on down. Okay, next is the property information. So here, total number of rooms is optional, but a lot of agents, listing agents, do choose to input that information in there. All right, total number of bedrooms, that's required. I'm just going to pop a 3 there. Next, full baths on the main level. Okay, so how many full baths is it on the main level of this property? So if there's none, you pop in a 0. If there's any half baths on the main level, if there's 1 or 2 or 3 or none, whatever that number is, you pop that in there. Next, if there's any full baths on the upper or half baths on the upper, same goes for the lower. Okay. And again, that's optional. It's gray. Moving on down, estimate year built. I'm just going to pop in a year there with the source. Estimate total square footage. This should be what you see listed on the tax record for that property. I'm just going to pop in a number there. All right. Next, the estimate finish above ground and below ground square footage. Those are optional fields of information. Moving on to garage spaces, that's required, and the type. School district. Whatever school district that you select has related neighborhood schools. So I'm entering in this listing in Wauwatosa. So I'm going to scroll down, or I can just simply just type what I'm looking for, first few letters of Wauwatosa, there you go, and find it and select it. So now that I've selected Wauwatosa as the school district, and you see school district is required, the related high and middle and elementary schools will be available for me to select if I want to. Again, the neighborhood schools are not required, but it's made it really easy for you guys to put that information in here. Okay, so Wauwatosa West is the high school. I'll pop in there. Whitman, and I'm just going to guess on this. I know they're up the street from the office here. Just going to pop in Roosevelt. All right, so that makes it really easy for you to enter in that information. So I get a feeling a lot more people are going to use that those fields now. Next is your property in a subdivision, if there's any HOA dues and what that due is per year, if it's near a body of water, any estimate waterfront footage and the source of that waterfront footage. Next is the directions, showings, and remarks. So you pop in directions to the directions field. How to get to the property from the closest main road would probably be a good option. So you've got 200 characters to use for directions. Showing information, if there's any particular showing instructions that you'd like to enter in here, you can. That's 120 characters. Public remarks should only be information about the property and nothing else. No website links, no phone numbers, anything like that. Only information about the property. And you've got 600 characters for that. Private information, this should be information that only the agents, our members, see. So here, if you need to add any private information, such as if there's documents or to be seen or surveys, if they can pull them off of your website, then that you're free to add those things in here in private remarks. And you've got a total of 400 characters to use. Inclusions and exclusions, what's being included with the sale of the property, stove, refrigerator, that kind of thing. Exclusions, what's not being included, maybe window treatments, things like that nature. And when you click your mouse into any of these fields, you will get the character count. And as you're typing, it'll show you how many characters you're using and how many you've got left. Let's backspace that out. All right. Flyer headline. If you intend on creating flyers for this listing, if you'd like to pop in a headline to be shown on that flyer, you can. You don't have to do it at this time. You can always edit an existing listing and add that in for your flyer. All right. So that's the main fields tab. All right. So if you'd like to check and make sure that you didn't miss anything, you can always, again, go over here to show and click on empty fields required. We got everything. So we're going to move on to the details. So here under details, the details of the property are in sections. So again, the gray headings are non-required pieces of information. Anything that's headed by red means at least one detail in that section must be selected. All right. So starting off with type, what type of property is it? Does it have water frontage on lot? Is it a hobby farm? Maybe it's a deeded condo. If there's any water features, if you'd like to enter in anything about the lot description. Next, the style. Is it a 1-story, story and a half, 2 stories? Make a selection there, at least one. Architecture. What kind of architecture is it? I'm going to make a selection for that. There's a section for garage and what's included there, driveway, and outbuildings. Exterior. What is the primary exterior of the property made of? Is it brick, vinyl, fiber cement? Basement. If the property has a basement or does not have a basement, you can put a choice in there. Heating and fuel. Those are your options for heating and fuel. Is it oil, natural gas? Heating and cooling types, option there, at least one in each section. Bath description and terms miscellaneous, those are optional sections that you do not have to complete. However, foreclosure and short sale searches are popular. People do look for those. So if your property happens to be fits one of those categories, by all means put a check in it, because you'd like for it to be found if someone's searching on it. Next, documents on file. Any documents that you have, not necessarily loaded to the listing, but that you have accessible if someone asked you for them. You want to make sure that you select those documents. Next, appliances included. What appliances are being included with the sale of the property? If there's none being included, select none. Next is details that point to the miscellaneous exterior, like patios or pools or a deck. Miscellaneous interior, fireplace, loft, pantry, skylights. Water and waste. Is it municipal water and sewer? A well? You can mark those items. Is the municipality that this property is situated in, is it a village, city, or town? Wauwatosa is a city, so I'll pop a check in there. Accessibility. Does the property have any accessibility items, like a ramp or a bedroom or a full bath on the main level or laundry on the main level? You can select those items there. Any green features. If your property is green building certified or energy certified, you can enter in those details here. And then last, hobby farm. If it's a hobby farm, what kind of hobby farm is it? You can make those selections in that section. All right. Okay, so that's the details tab. Again, you just saw that little autosave pop up. The autosave, your listing will be auto-saved every 2 minutes. And you can see that right here. It'll timestamp it the last time that it was auto-saved. And that's really helpful, just in case something happens. Maybe the power goes off or you accidentally kick the plug out of the wall or something like that. Any listings that you get booted out of somehow are always going to be in your incomplete menu with the autosave. All right. So just to check to make sure that we've got all the fields entered in that we need to, I'm going to select empty required fields. We have none. All right, so we're going to go back to the next tab and go to the rooms. So the 3 rooms that are required on single family property are these 3: the living great room, kitchen, and master bedroom. What level are they on? You select the level. Oops. And then the dimensions of the room. So I'm just going to type in some stuff here. All right. Other things that you can enter in here for family rooms, dining rooms, den office, additional bedrooms, rec rooms, the laundry room. And then there's 4 little drop-down menus here with if you need to add another bedroom or a bonus room, exercise room, this kind of stuff here. All right. I don't need to do the fields here because I'm looking right at them. And then lastly is the export tab. Really, there's no reason for you to do anything here, but just verify that this box is selected. All MLS authorized public websites. If your listing is not a restricted listing, like you're keeping it out of MLS, that box being checked allows for your listings to be fed into the public sites, such as wihomes.com, realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, all those search sites that people can go out to and search for their homes. Okay, so you want to make sure that that box is selected. All right. Let's say you needed to put in some more information. You wanted to add some information in about waterfront property. You needed to get the waterfront footage or whatever. You just need to come back and finish this listing later. You can always save a listing as incomplete by clicking on this incomplete button. So I'll click on save as incomplete. So you get this message, the incomplete listing has been saved. All right, so now that the listing is saved as incomplete, you leave, you go do whatever you have to do, then you come back, you log back into Flex, and you're ready to pick up where you left off. You can always come to menu, and underneath add change, click on incomplete. And then you'll see your incomplete listing here. All right, so when you select it, just to complete the listing, you click edit, and that'll bring you back into this screen. And then you can go into listing information And if you're ready to add the listing to generate the list number, you just click on Add Listing here at the upper right-hand side. Now, I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it yet. So I just want to show you some more stuff while it's still sitting in incomplete. So I'm going to go back to Menu and go back to Incomplete. All right. Some other things that you can do in the Incomplete menu is you can print or email the sheet. So before you make the listing live, if you like for your seller to review the data that's on the listing, this is a great way to do it by going to print or email. Once you're in the Incomplete Listing Options menu, choose the report that you'd like for them to review. Typically, you guys use the full report, and you can either print it and give them the hard copy, or you can email it directly to them. And this will look just like the data sheet that you guys are used to looking at. I don't have a photo in there, but you get the idea. All right. So that way they can go over and go, yeah, everything's okay. And oh no, the room dimension for this is off by 2 feet or whatever. Okay. So that is under Incomplete, Print or Email. If you've got a lot of listings that are piled up in here that you didn't finish, you can select and hit remove. We don't remove these listings. They don't, expire after a certain amount of time. They stay in there for as long as you leave them in there, okay? You can also add a listing from this screen, add an incomplete listing. So it lets you come in here and basically what we just did, okay? Just gonna close that. Now you can also add documents and photos to your incomplete listing. So if you want to get a listing all ready and set up to go for the next day, like you want to get some stuff done, so maybe you've got some closings coming up and you've got time now, so you don't want to forget about doing these things. Again, just going to go here back to incomplete. When you edit your incomplete listing, this is where you can go to photos and add your photos. You can add a total of 25 photos to your listings. Recommended file size for each photo is 5 megabyte or no bigger than 5 megabyte, because anytime photos are larger than that, they take a little bit longer to load, and depending on if someone's looking at it on their phone or if they've got a slower internet connection, it may seem like it may never load. So try to keep your photos under 5 megabyte. Okay, I'll show you in a little while how to add your photos. So I'm just going to go back, and then you can also add your documents to your listing. Now, the only document that is required for entry on a listing is the listing contract. Okay, so to add a document to your listing, you come in here to the document screen. So for listing contracts, we only need the first, the third, and the last page of the listing contract. We don't need the entire contract. Just scan those 3 pages, the first, the third, and the last. Once you scan those pages and create a PDF file for those 3 scan pages, you come into here, and then you come here where it says choose file. You're going to click choose file, and you're going to point it to the location of where you have that saved scanned PDF file. All right, so I think we do ours on our desktop here. So wherever, this is how you navigate here on a PC. Okay, so here's my PDF file. So I'm going to double left click it. That's my contract. So there it is right there. And then for description, very important that you don't forget to change this, because this is how listing contracts stay private. The tag for listing contract that's in this list here, there it is right there. By selecting the description listing contract, keeps this contract as a private document. So the private documents are the listing contract and the listing contract amendments. And if you're doing a rental, the lease agreement is a private document. Okay, so now that we've gotten the file and pulled it in, and we've changed the description to listing contract, we'll click add. And there it is. Your contract is on your listing. Okay, and you can do that for all of your documents, your seller condition, your lead-based paint, your surveys, whatever document that you're adding, you can pop it in just like that. Okay, document the recommended file size is 10 megabyte, no bigger than 10 megabyte. Anything over 10 meg tends to be spotty. I think 15 is the maximum that you can enter in. It's 15 megabyte is the maximum size that you can enter in, but we typically tell people 10 megabyte is a good size. How you can control the size of a PDF file is to reduce the DPI on your scanner. Change it to like a lower setting where the DPI is not so high. Okay. All right. So I'm going to return back to my edit listing screen, and now we're going to make this listing live. Okay. So I'm going to come back here to listing information. Now I am ready. Oops, I'm in the wrong listing. Let me go back to incomplete and select, I am this one, and edit. All right, now I'll go into listing information. So now I'm ready for this listing to go live, okay? Before I click that, let me just take out something here. I want to show you what that looks like. So let's say you happen to miss one of these required fields. I'm just going to take the check out of here, so style is there. All right. So now when I try to add this listing, it's going to give me an error right here saying one error has been found. Please click OK, then fill out the remaining required fields. Please verify the following. This is where it's telling you what's missing. A minimum of one item must be selected in style. So it's telling me to go to style and I have to select something. So I'm going to do OK. It pops it up there for me for convenience. So now I'll select it, and now I'll hit add listing. So now my listing has been added, and this is the list number that has been generated. Okay, so now this listing is live and it is accessible to our members. All right, so the options that you have on this screen, you've got 5 options here. All right, the first option is big blue button labeled finish and return home. Clicking that will take you to the very beginning, the FlexMLS dashboard. So once you log into Flex from our home page and it takes you to the dashboard, that's where that button will take you. The next option, you can view or print the listing report. So if you wanted to print the data sheet, that's what that option is for. Next, if you want to go to the change listing screen for this listing, maybe now you want to go add photos or documents, you can by going to the change menu here. All right. The next option, clone this listing by copying it and making edits to it. The clone function will copy this listing exactly. So for instance, if you're entering in several units of a condominium complex, they're pretty much identical. Maybe the unit numbers may be different, might be a price different here. They're just small little changes you need to make. This is where you can just keep adding those condo units and making your changes in it. Then you can create a brand new list number from this cloned one. So you'll have your first condo unit, you clone that one, and then you can create a duplicate listing but with the new unit number and get a new MLS number. That way you don't have to go through the process of recreating the wheel again with the listing. Okay, so that is a really convenient feature when you're entering in condominium lots that are very similar, that are within the same building possibly, or vacant land lots. And then the last option, begin entering in another listing. This is a completely different brand new listing. This would be the equivalent to going back into menu and clicking on add listing. It's just allowing you to do it from this screen. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to the change listing screen here. All right, so here we are at the change screen. All right, so I'm going to show you how to enter in some photos here. So again, photos, recommended file size, 5 megabyte. When you are entering in the file, make sure it's JPEG in format. We suggest using landscape, at least for the main list photo, because the main list photo is the one that's pulled in on the data sheet there, and those little squares on the data sheet that show the picture are set to pull in just landscape. It won't fit anything taken in portrait. It won't fit anything taken in like a wide panoramic view. It'll squish it. Portrait will get stretched to try to fit that square. Panoramic will get squished in to try to fit that square. So at least make your main list photo regular landscape format. We suggest that they all be that way, but that one is real important that it's that way. Okay, so when you're adding your photos, you come in here, click on photos. That'll bring you to this screen, no photos loaded. So I'm going to come over here to the add photos button. All right, so here it opens up, and this is where I can point it to the location of where my photo files are. So I'm going to go here to my class photos folder, and I'm going to add all of these photos. Now you can do them one at a time, or you can do them all at the same time. I'm going to show you how to do them all at the same time. So I'm just going to hold down my control key and select the first one, and then select the last one. I'm sorry, that was my shift key. When you hold down your shift key on your keyboard on a Windows machine, when you select the first and the last, it'll get them all. If you do control lets you cherry pick like that. Okay, so if you want to cherry pick, that's control key. If you want to do them all, that's shift key, first and last. Oops. All right, well, there you go. Okay, so I've got them all selected, and now I'm going to hit the open button. So when I hit the open, they're all starting to load. Once they all load, then this is where you can reorder them, and you can add captions if you'd like to. All right, so there's my photos, and right now it's using the number one photo that has a little flag on it. That will be used as the primary photo. That's the one that will pull onto the data sheets. If you'd like to use a different photo for your primary photo, a couple ways you can change that. You can either drag the photo, so this one down here labeled house. You see these little 3 lines there, and my little mouse turns into a 4-pointer. I'm going to hold my mouse down, and I'm going to pull it up and swap places with it. So now it's in the number 1 position, and now I have to tag it with the primary flag. All right, so now this is my primary photo. Okay, if I want to put a caption down here by it, you see that little pencil that pops up? If you'd like to put a caption down here by it, you can. Okay, and you just okay that. Saves that change. If your photo happens to be flipped like sideways, that's what these little rotate arrows are for. They'll rotate your photo for you. I know we happen to see that kind of often with photos taken with iPhones. They look, when you look at your phone, or even when you download them to your computer, they're upright and they're fine. But when you pull them into Flex, sometimes they flip. So in case your photos flip, you can always unflip it. If you'd like to delete the photo, you can remove the photo. Okay. Remember, main list photos, all the other ones have to be removed before this one. You can always replace it though. If you need to replace the main list photo, maybe at the time that you took the photo was wintertime, it's summertime now, that's what this is for, is to upload a replacement photo. So when you click that, it'll bring up that box for you to point to the location of your new photo file. All right. The other way to reorganize your photos here, if you're dragging them around and dragging them just isn't working for you, you can always change the number. So maybe I want the backyard to be the last photo. So I'm going to hit that and change it to the number 7 photo. See how that popped down there? And I can change this one to the number 6 to try to keep a story here. Maybe I want to do the dining room as number 2. And then the kitchen is number 3. So you've got your choice if you want to drag them around or if you want to just use the little numbers to reorder them. But when you make those moves, it's saved like that. There's no button to click to save anything after you remove them. It's there for you. If you need to delete a photo, that's what the checkbox or the remove photo is for. If you need to select it, to do delete selected, like you want to do delete them all or a few of them, you can. That's what the delete selected is for, and then you got the button there. All right. All right, I'm going to back out to the change menu again. All right. All right, so that was a photo. So we're going to go back into the change menu. So what I just did, I clicked on the menu button, and underneath add change, I went to change listing. Now, any listing that you currently have in an active status will show in this little window here. As you can see here, show my active listings. To go into the change menu for any of these, you can just simply click on the list number, or if you want to pop in the list number up here, you can and click next. That'll take you to the same place. If you'd like to go into the change menu of a listing of another status, you can choose to change this drop down and show those listings. So if you have a listing that you want to access for delayed, pending, expired, withdrawn, you can. The only status that you cannot edit is sold. If you need something changed on a sold listing, call our administrative office and they can help you with that. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to click on the one that we just did and show you how to use some functions and change here. All right, so now that we're here in the change menu, listing information, if you need to go in like, oh, my bedrooms weren't correct, I gotta correct that. You can go into listing information, and anything of any fields that you see that you have access to, you can change that information. There will be things like listing date or start showing date that you cannot access. Again, our administrative office would have to help you with that. Okay, so that's in listing information. Map location is if you need to move the location of the pin on the map. Maybe it was across the street here or in the street, and I want to put it right on the lot there. I can just just drag it there and then click use this location. Listing selling members, that'll just show you. All right. Edit current status. This is where if you need to edit the status of a listing. This is where you would change it from active to active with offer. So to change a listing from active to active with offer, you go into edit current status. So once you're here, you see for contingent, you've got a drop-down menu. You select with offer. That's important to do that. Then you enter in your active with offer date. All right. So when I hit next, because you see right now it's active, when I hit next and then next again, now it's active with offer. Okay. If you need to take the active with offer off for any reason, again, you go back to edit current status. For contingent, hit that drop-down menu and select the blank space, and then take the check out of active with offer, next, and next. So now it's back active. All right. Change listing price, kind of self-explanatory if you needed to do that. Yep, because I didn't change the price. We'll change it to $99. There you go. All right. Next is extend or expire listing. If you need to extend the expiration date of a listing or enter in a new expired date, this is where you can do that at. If you choose expire, like if you wanted to expire it out today, it will expire it out at midnight. It won't be right away. It will stay active through the end of the day. Next, if you need to pin the listing, put it on a pending status. You're not taking any showings anymore. That's what pin listing is. You put in your pending date, and then you hit next. All right, I'm going to come back to this because I want to show you the back on market link. Back on market doesn't appear unless the listing is in a pending status. All right. If you need to close out a listing, it's sold. That's what the closed listing is. Come in here, type in the member's name. And anybody coming up with that last name, you just select them in the list. Sold date, sold price, terms of sales, concessions, and the pending date. I'm just going to back out of here. All right. If you need to withdraw a listing, your seller will not be available to show it for more than 2 days or for a while. This is where you can withdraw it temporarily. Pop in a withdrawal date, and then once you hit next, it's withdrawn. And you can also put it back on the market yourself. I'm just going to hit back there. And then expire listing. If you needed to immediately expire out a listing, this is where you do it at. You put in the day, date, and then you hit next, and it will be expired. All right. So what does not show is the back on market listing. Back on market will only appear if the listing is in a pending or withdrawn status. So I'm going to pin the listing just to show you what that is. All right, so now it's pending. Where's the rest of my screen? There it goes. Got confused for a second. So now that the listing is pending, let's say the deal fell through and you need to put it back on market. Now you see that back on market link here. So here you choose that. The fall through date, which is today's date. Next, next, and now it is back active. Okay, so back on market will appear only if a listing is withdrawn, pending, or expired. If the listing is expired and you need to put it back on market, it'll appear then also. All right, so we've already gone over photos and documents. Next, we'll go over videos and virtual tours. If you'd like to add a video to your listing, you come here and you click Add Video, and then the embed link is what you need to put into this first box. And let me just show you what the embed link is. It's different than the virtual tour links start with HTTP. Embed links will start with a caret and embed in the code. So I'm just going to go out to YouTube and grab a embed link to show you what that is. All right. So here, let me turn the sound down. So if you're out on YouTube or if your video's on YouTube, how to get the embed link, you go to share, and then once all of the icons appear up, you see this little embed down here in the corner, you click that. This is the embed link. This is what the embed link looks like. So I'm just going to highlight all that, copy it, and I can close this page, and then I'll right click and paste that. So you see here, this what makes the difference. You will see this little caret and iframe at the beginning and the end of the link. That lets you know it's an embed link. Videos only use this embed link. If you've got a link that starts with http:// that will go under virtual tour. Okay? So let me back out of here. I'll cancel and return to edit listing screen. So virtual tour, again, that would be the HTTP. With your virtual tour company that provides you with that link, typically they create it, they'll email it to you. You just copy it from the email and you paste it in here. And if you like, you can put in a description and then you just hit next. And that's all you need to add your virtual tour. All right, I'm just going to click back. Next, under scheduled marketing activities, this is where you can schedule your open houses. So to schedule an open house, you click on the link. Once it brings you to the open house screen, you click on Add, put in the open house date, and then I'll just pop in. Can I do today? Yeah, I can do today. So let's say I'm going to have it at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and it will last till 7. And then I can just type in any comments I want about the open house and then hit next. And there's your open house. Now, when you schedule an open house, it's one day. So if you're doing it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you have to repeat that process for each date. Okay? All righty. I'm just going to return to the listing screen here. All right. We really don't use tour of homes, so I'm going to skip that, and then I'll go down here to enable disable showing time. Showing time is automatically enabled for your listings if you have the function enabled for yourself as an agent. So if you are using showing time with each new listing that you put in, it will automatically be enabled for that listing. Let's say, for instance, this is a listing that you would prefer not to use the showing time function. You would prefer that maybe our other agents would call you because there's some specific information or guidelines that need to be followed for the listing, and you want to make sure that's communicated clearly. So here, if you wanted to disable it, you just click disable. It'll take you to showing time, and then you can select no to not allow appointments to be scheduled online. All right. All right, so this will conclude our webinar for how to add a listing to FlexMLS. Thanks and have a great day. Sell lots.